Let's get focused. Joe, good morning. Thank you for being here. Super excited to finally have you on the Phelan Focus. And thank you for taking the time to connect with me over the last couple of months now. Can you believe it's been that long? So tell us, tell me, tell everyone who you are, what you're up to, and we'll kind of jump into what we're talking about today.
Awesome. Well, first, thank you for having me. This has been a fun long-term plan, but I love it. I am Jocelyn Espejo, aka Joe. I am the founder of Branding by Joe, and it's morphed into a boutique brand agency. My passion is helping entrepreneurs build a brand that allows them to get out there and do the thing, is the best way that I can sum it up in like a quick thing. But honestly, it's making sure that everything is consistent and aligned and that they can connect with their people in the best way that they can.
Yeah, and so why branding? I mean, I know that as an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, I'll say that loosely, and working with other entrepreneurs, I feel like a lot of people get so stuck on branding or they just skip it. And so it's almost like one or the other. Like they get like obsessed with branding and the branding has to be perfect, or they don't even think about branding and they just kind of glaze over it. And they're like, well, we'll figure that out later. Not a big deal. So why or how have you chosen to niche down into branding? Yeah, just share how you ended up focusing on producing that as value.
So for me, ultimately, branding, really doing my personal branding is what changed the game for me. So I went from doing all the things, checking all the boxes, feeling like if you would have asked me, and I did say this, I have done all of the things, it's not working. And then finally got challenged, and somebody was like, cool, where are you? Like, what do you mean, where am I? I have the logo, I have the website, here's all my work. I'm posting consistently on social. She's like, cool, where are you? I don't see you. I'm like, you don't need to see me. You just need to see my work. No one needs to see my face. They just want to see what I can do for them. And she's like, okay, so yeah, but no. So I challenge you, show up in your socials. She's like, at least every 9 posts, get a picture up and start showing up. And I did that. And literally two things happened. One, I Forex my business and I swear I didn't do anything else other than show up in my business. But because I had the branding and I had the visuals that matched the level that I was saying I could do, walk into rooms different. So that's the side effect of branding that I talk about. And because it impacted my business so much, I was like, oh, this is a thing. I can do this. And I love photography. And then ultimately, it was allowing me to blend both all of my business experience that I had gathered from college and 16 years in operations management. And it let me take that with the creative side of photography
Mm-hmm.
and design and just marry them together. And so a lot of people make the mistake of thinking branding is a logo and a website. So many entrepreneurs tell me, I have my branding done. I have
Yeah,
colors, I
totally.
have fonts, I have a logo, I have a website, I'm good. I
Yep.
was like, yep, been there, done that, thought the same thing.
Yeah.
And the amount of time I poured into my first website is obscene. Like, and then I changed it. So I tell people, I'm like, guys, ultimately, done is better than perfect. But when it comes to branding, it's all encompassing. For me, it's what people are saying about you when you're not in the room. So when that comes up, is it really the logo? How many of us even really remember logos? Unless you get to the point that you're like a Nike or a Target or a McDonald's where you recognize the logo and you're like, I know exactly what that is. It's really not that important. What it really comes down to is that know, like, and trust factor. And then how do we get that? It's from the people. So
Interesting. I love the way you put that. The branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room. That's great. That's so great. And yeah, going back to the logo, right? And my team has explained to me that there's actually like 4 different variations of any given logo.
should be.
I've been trying to just do one. Just trying to, perfect one. And I think that's another reason of like, don't get stuck on perfecting one logo. At the end of the day, your logo and your and is sort of one aspect of branding. It's not what makes or breaks the brand, in most cases. I was
One
working with a
tiny piece, one tiny, teeny piece.
yeah, yeah.
And
And
then
you
we
can
spend too much
change
time.
it.
Oh my gosh. I have changed my logo. I've changed my business name. I have changed my logo. I remember obsessing over one and loved it. I was like, this is perfect. This is exactly it. I walked
Yeah,
into a networking event that I had sponsored and I saw it blown up on something across the room. And I was like, you can't even read it.
totally.
And I was
Yeah,
like, awesome. I spent hours and hours and hours and
yeah,
money obsessing over this logo. And
yeah,
I literally left that event and went the next day. I was like, we got to change it. Like, it
yeah,
doesn't work.
yeah.
So, yeah, I tell people don't tattoo your logo to yourself because
That's
9 times out of 10, you will be changing it. Like, it's
That's a,
going to have to
that's
morph.
that's another great takeaway. Yeah, don't tattoo your logo. And branding is what people say when you leave the room. two nuggets that I've gotten out of this already. So, Joe, I want to talk about, and you started touching on it. So you weren't born with the branding gene. It seems like you've kind of dabbled and then worked your way towards that. And I've a similar path. It's on episode 1 if anyone wants to hear it. So let's talk niching down and pivoting just in your career in general, what that looks like. Talk me through some of the pivots that you've been through.
Oh, goodness, man. If you would have met me, I'm not going to age myself. Before I was an entrepreneur, my whole goal was going to college, getting a degree, getting a corporate job, working my way up the corporate ladder. That is what success looked like to me. Spent some time doing that and realized I was spending a lot of time building someone else's legacy, building their empire. And I went through an exit. My boss exited, left, and I was like, well, that kind of sucked. Here we go. And just that's entrepreneurship kind of fell in my lap. But the more that I started to dabble in it, the more that I started to see that maybe there was an opportunity for the life that I wanted to live, where I could have something I could be passionate about, but also not have a boss that would tell me I could work 24/7, except for when I needed time off. I wasn't available to take time off. So I shifted. I left corporate finally. It took me a long time. My business was a side hustle for about 10 years before I finally took that leap of faith to make the shift. And to be honest, I kept saying, I'll leave when, and at the time I was doing wedding photography, I'll leave when I'm booked out for a year or I'm
Mm-hmm.
booked out for whatever. And then that time just never came. And if I look back at that phase in my life, my job, my paycheck took priority always over my business. So, and I would burn out and then put the camera down, pick it back up again, do that whole thing. And I realized split focus was difficult. So,
Mm-hmm.
trying to be an operations manager and also a business owner, there's just only so many hours in a day, so many ways that your mind can work. So, I made the pivot, decided to go full time in my business. And that was a game changer. All of a sudden, because I was talking about what I did, available to do more sessions, my calendar started filling up. And then life, honestly, I loved weddings. It was fantastic. I got lucky. I think I only had like one bridezilla. So it wasn't even that made me leave. It just became, weddings. I was gone all day, Saturday, Sundays, sometimes Fridays. And that's when my kid had sports. So once he got to sports age, I started trying to limit when I was available. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I can shoot afternoon and evening weddings only. And then it was impacting my business. And then I had a bride change times. And then I was like, well, this sucked. Now I'm missing the game. I was like, well, this isn't going to work. So I pivoted. And easily for me, weddings turned into families because a lot of my bride and groom's next step is families.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of walked in that direction,
Great, nice, smart.
pivoted, dropped weddings altogether. I was so scared I wasn't going to make money. Nope, just
Mm-hmm.
fine. You just pivot. You start talking about something new. So that's what
Yeah.
I did. I no longer was available for weddings, talked to family. Families were great. I honestly have been driven in pivots in my business mainly around my kids,
Mm-hmm.
because once my kids got older and then they got more involved into sports, and sports went from 1 night a week to 3 nights a week to 4 nights a week to 5 nights a week, now battling, I've got a family session at golden hour and kids that had to be in two places at the same time,
Yeah.
started pivoting again. And honestly, I will say the biggest thing for me that has caused pivots in my business is listening to people. I started getting phone calls
Mm-hmm.
asking if I did headshots.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, I'm kind of dense. It took me five. It took me 5 phone calls in a matter of 5 days for like me to be like, oh wait,
Yeah, just
hold
say
on,
yes.
maybe I do headshots.
Yeah.
Like right after I said no, 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 and then I was like,
Yeah.
wait, yes, yes, I do.
Yeah.
And then I said I don't do backdrops. I don't have a studio, but I can absolutely do lifestyle headshots. And
Nice.
then that just kind of opened up a door. And then I tried doing both for about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to talk to two different clients was a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talking to the mom with family photos and then literally trying to decide what's my cadence. Am I going to post today to the mom of the newborn or the family? And then tomorrow I'm trying to post to a business owner who needs a headshot or brand photos or whatever. It didn't work. And then even my mind, like I started picking up on the branding. And then all of a sudden one day I walked into a newborn session and I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing today. Like I'm not in a routine
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
And the biggest fear is always walking away from a revenue stream.
Mm.
So
Okay.
like,
Like
and
leave money on the table.
every single time I've done it, the one that I'm pivoting to has been the smaller pie. So like pivoting and saying I'm niching into branding,
Yep.
leaving
Yep.
families. I had been doing families for so much longer. So that was still a bigger pie.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But then when I decided to niche and go all into branding, I was able to get very targeted in my messaging, very clear on what I wanted to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And then that blew up. And so just you can make major pivots. You just have to be open and willing to dive in. So when it comes to niching down, I tell people all the time, you could be a jack of all trades and then get nobody, or you can be a specialist. And then that's when people really want to come in. Because if you think about it, there's some things that we're okay working with the person that, yeah, I can handle that. But then when it comes to major things, you want to work with the people that that's what they do, that's what they know. So if you can specialize and then niching down for me, I tell people it just comes down to the messaging, and then don't be afraid because you're still going to get referrals. So like I will say, I am very passionate about working with women-owned businesses.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my marketing is. If you look at my website, you listen to anything, it's very targeted to women-owned businesses. I have a roster of men clients that I have worked with and
Yeah.
continue to work with because some woman referred them and they
Yeah.
want to work with me. So the targeting and the niching, selfishly for me, I have made most of my decisions around what's the best for this phase of my life. And that's why I went into entrepreneurship in the first place. I wanted to be my own boss and control my own schedule. And so branding has allowed me to have a business, be able to pour in a lot of what I learned growing up and what I did in corporate, and then blending the creative space. But most importantly for me, it allows me to be present for my kids in the hours I want to be present.
That's great. I mean, because you basically can have your cake and eat it too. I mean, if you make the cake, you can do whatever you want with it. And so that's the upside of being an entrepreneur. And but hey, if you're an entrepreneur, you make bad cake. Congratulations, you get to eat an entire
You
cake that tastes like however you made it. And so what I'm getting out of this is one thing I want to clarify for everyone who's tuned in is the difference between pivoting and like jumping or bouncing. And so one thing to keep in mind that Jo is not saying is that she went from photography to websites to commercial videography to like all these complex major shifts with, moving from sort of like skill set to skill set or specialty to specialty. It really is all within this umbrella of photography and marketing essentially. And then there's a pivot, there's an opportunity really that kind of triggers the pivot. And so there's an opportunity, you pivot into that opportunity, validate it, that goes well. Now you've niched down. And then again and again and again and again. And then you slowly specialize over time. What a great process for discovering and also building your skill sets along the way, as opposed to saying, like, I'm only going to do this hyper specific one thing. And then, like you were saying, like, no headshots, no headshots, no headshots. It's like, well, hold on, you should probably stay in like this exploratory mode and this discovery mode before you start just throwing everything away. So there's definitely a balance to managing, niching down, like you're saying, without walking away from or ignoring a potential revenue stream.
My favorite phrase right now is I want to stay in my lane. So I have chosen branding. That is my lane. And then over time, we have added on websites and we have added a few pieces, but I stop. Like for me, I have decided to stay in organic branding.
Mm-hmm.
I don't dive into paid ads. I don't dive into that realm because that is a whole different skill set. For me, I evaluate what am I doing and what am I pivoting. Two things. One is someone asking me for it,
Mm-hmm.
because that's usually my telltale sign, like, oh, maybe they want this. And then my second question is, can I deliver? And does this fall in line with my branding? But
Totally.
ultimately, even in my own marketing, I still am hyper focused on the photography side
Mm-hmm.
and the branding because that's what I believe so strongly in. I want you to be the face of your business.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we've morphed into an implementation, but I'm also very strategic and very honed in on what am I going to deliver. I say it often, I got to stay in my lane. And then I have to often ask myself, because you're going to ask me about this later too, but I always bring it back to my values and what am I doing and why am I doing it? And does this align? Am I going to be committing myself to, and I find myself doing it, traveling too much. Okay, well, I got into this so I can be more present with my children. If I'm now traveling across the country 4 weeks a month, like that's not going to work out well. So I have to pull it back or shift. Now I have photographers across the country that I work with so that it's not a no, just it's not always, it doesn't always have to be a no, it just has to be a who, if
Mm-hmm.
not me who, and you're really good at that because you have an
Yeah.
entire team. So I'm working on it. I have a small team
You're
and then
doing
now
great.
I'm working on expanding, but that's also a
Yes.
challenge with being an entrepreneur because we want to do everything ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
then
Control
building a team
freaks.
that you can trust to do the other pieces, but ultimately stay in your lane. But then listen, I like your discovery thing. Always kind of be in the zone of discovery and listen to what your clients need and then adapt. When I first started in branding, videography was not as big as it is now.
Sure.
And if I wouldn't have added on video, I probably would have been left in the dust.
Yeah.
because my clients need it. Like it's not even a jump on the bandwagon to try to make money.
Hmm.
It's what do my clients really need ultimately to help them establish themselves as a brand? And
Hmm.
then can we provide those services?
There's several layers to it. So one is being an entrepreneur, and then the other is being a business owner, and like you said, managing a team. And there's that space of discovery where you're constantly looking and scoping out opportunities, what you're doing well, what you could do better, what are some other markets that you could potentially get into. And then as you build your team, you then have to add that skill set development. Like I was just in a leadership meeting this week, talking to the team, and we have an internship program, and I was sharing with all the team leads that I was in a coaching session with my coach recently, and she pointed out, she goes, for this aspect of your business and what you're doing, this is your internship program. Like, oh, it's so true. Like, I've been in an internship for how to be a CEO for a year and a half now. And so as an organization, we all collectively have this approach of we're all trying to discover and learn something new. And as a business owner, and once you get into managing a team and you can start delegating, well, whatever you delegate, you now have to fill that with a new skill set or business development opportunity or whatever that might be. So it's this constant habit that you develop of looking for opportunities, and while you're also trying to develop this new skill, whether it's business development or leadership, communication, planning, delegation. Delegation is a skill, communication is a skill, planning and building your team, recruiting, all these things are skills. So it's never ending. So going back to what Joe was saying, one thing that I got was when you are in that discovery mode, looking at an opportunity and saying, is this even something I want to do? There's a lot of stuff that we do not do a projection because I just don't want to do it. Like one thing and Joe, this, we don't use email internally. Absolutely refuse to use email. I don't want to look at email all day. I don't want to, I don't want to interact. I don't want to interact with my team members through an email
Yeah.
interface. I would rather chat with them, hop into a video meeting, and maintain that engagement than like having this sort of displaced form of communication. I try to, if I know somebody, I don't really email them. I try to communicate and coordinate with them on LinkedIn as much as possible as well, just in that chat platform. That way, it's like still professional but personal. And those are the ways that I want to interact with people is through chat and messaging as opposed to email. And so as an entrepreneur, you have the advantage of creating the environment that you want to thrive in. And the upside too is as your life changes and evolves, that can change as well, which is really cool. Shifting into entrepreneurship. So I'm assuming you got a degree in it, and you and you took a boot camp, and that was it. You were solid, and you just like had all the confidence in the world. Talk me through just whatever doubt that you faced when you did actually decide to pivot into entrepreneurship.
Oh my gosh, I think that's what held me back for the longest time growing up in this world where college and degrees and all that stuff really mattered. And you put so much weight, and rightly so. I mean, there's a lot of people that get college degrees nowadays, but there's still a bunch that don't. So there's just this weight of you have a college degree and that should mean something. So then pivoting, I was like, I don't have a degree. I don't have a degree in photography. I don't have degrees. Now I've done masterminds now over time. I've constant never ending improvement is another one of my
Mm-hmm.
things because I'm like, that's just life. You're going to be, if you're not improving, you're dying. So just might as well keep working on it. But no, I did not have a degree. And I think that really played into my imposter syndrome. I had a very hard time claiming I was a professional photographer.
Yeah.
And I will say it took me 12 years. I had been getting paid by people
Yeah.
to do photography for 12 years
Yeah.
before I finally started walking into rooms and introducing myself as a professional photographer.
Yeah.
And I just held on to this thing that I was like, I didn't go to school for photography. I didn't do that. I have a business degree. I have
Mm-hmm.
a master's in business. So for me, I'm like, I wear that operations manager
Mm-hmm.
title proudly. A professional photographer, I was like, because I said I was, because I'm good at it. I don't know. So yes, that it took me literally 12 years like to finally, and somebody called me out and they're like, wait, you've been doing this professionally for 12 years. I said, well, I mean, I've been taking pictures for people. And they're like, so, but you've been getting paid. I'm like, well, yeah. Do you have I was like, yeah, I have an LLC and I have a business bank account and I'm legit. Just, I don't have a degree. And they're like, cool. At what point do you finally get to say you're a professional photographer? Like, how
Yeah.
long do you need to be in business for? I was like,
Yeah.
oh, now? like literally. And I just had to make a choice. And it was that simple to
Hmm.
just make a choice. And the first 3 times I said it, I was like, I got to really like work on this and pull it to now. I'm like, yeah, this is just what I do. Like, this is who I am. It's what I have. But
Yeah.
it's hard. It's a really hard mental shift. And then I think too now, even with all the business knowledge that I had, there's still days, running, being all the hats.
Hmm.
No one teaches you how to do that. I haven't quite even figured out in all the masterminds, like you try, but there is definitely a very big shift in wanting to go into business because you love and passionate and want to do something. You want to be in your own boss.
Mm.
And it is not for the faint of heart. Like, guys, it is not easy. I left the 9 to 5 to work 24/7. It's fine. Um,
Yeah.
but one of the conversations I've had numerous times with my husband, for instance, he's like, you're up at 2 o'clock in the morning working. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And how is this better? And I was like, well, yes, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm working, but I didn't start my day yesterday until whatever time I chose to start. Or
Yeah.
like, yeah, because I was on a field trip all day yesterday. So I just played hooky because I felt like it and I went to the beach. And so, yeah, now I have to work because I have deliverables.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I chose the 2 o'clock because I wanted to go to the beach all day yesterday. That doesn't happen often, guys.
Hmm.
That's also the people that paint the picture that they're by poolside, like living their best life and doing nothing, most likely have an entire team of people behind them that are doing something because businesses do not run just by
Casually.
pool, by poolside chats and by will alone. But
Oh, you don't have you haven't turned this into a passive income stream yet?
I'm still trying. When somebody else tells me passive income, I think
That's
I may
awesome.
end up stabbing someone in the face. Like
Yeah.
that's a pretty aggressive
Yeah.
response, but that has been something I pursued very hard. And then I realized there is no passive anything. It's
At all.
Let me redefine what passive income is. Passive income is that you have poured a lot of time and effort to set something up and to have it continue running on the back end, but it's not passive. It's just not maybe forward facing. Like
Hmm.
you may not get my face if you buy my course.
Hmm.
It's on video, but man, the amount of hours I have poured into creating that, putting it up, and then keeping it running. I think passive is a relative term. We'll throw that in there with like a branding. That's a whole very fun bucket
Yeah.
of words that you can put into that.
I think I I've known people in the past that work insurance. So their whole thing is build a book of business for insurance, and then I can live off of the residuals, and then now I have passive income. It's like, well, for a period of time, but then as the attrition rate of all those deals and accounts goes through, so you could do that, and then eventually it's all going to be gone, or you could like continue to manage those relationships and accounts, but then by default it's not passive. By definition it's not passive. There's still some management. It's like saying I have a garden, right? That's probably the best analogy is to sort of dissuade the passive income um, you know goal that people have, like I want to create passive income. It's like you should not be an entrepreneur. I mean, maybe, I don't know, good luck. That's great. That's great. There's definitely ways to do it, but just in general, starting and running a business, the last thing that it is passive.
Well, and everything requires nurturing. Like you said, the garden is a great analogy because it can look really beautiful and full, but if you leave it unattended, you turn your back, and the next thing you know, something has overrun it, or it forgot to get watered, or whatever the case may be. And it can turn that quickly on you. So it's one of those. And I try to shift it now. For me, I no longer say I'm looking for a passive income stream. For me, I'm looking to diversify my income stream so that I don't have all of my eggs in one basket, but that's my goal. It's like, okay, how can and is there a way to scale this? So when I look at offers that I'm creating and I'm looking at different things I'm getting into, I've let go of I want to find a passive income option. It's more of what stream of revenue can I do? And then how scalable is this? So if I'm creating an offer that's requiring my time, my face, me being behind the camera, that's great. But there's only so many days I can be behind the camera, so many clients I can serve that way. And then unless I can charge an obscene amount of money, I may not get to the income goals that I have based on the number of days I'm willing to work. So then it shift back onto, okay, now how can I do an offer that maybe allows me to talk to 5 to 10 people at a time or what the case may be. But yeah, it's passive income is a myth. I love it, but it's a myth.
Yeah, it's like a mirage, right?
Oh,
it's
I like
it's
that.
out there. Yeah, it's out there. You can get it. You can keep chasing it. Go for it. Or you could just focus on the garden approach, and that's where if you're not great at one thing, like hire an irrigation specialist. to ensure that that problem never happens. Somebody to manage kind of, different aspects of the management of the garden. And then you can decide to either work on a specific area, or do you want to look at growth, or diversification, or focusing on the systems to potentially automate a lot of the things that go into the management of it. So once you start developing your team, you then carve out a little bit more time for you to start looking at and tackling different problems that kind of get you out of that cycle of just dealing with the same thing over and over. So yeah, so it sounds like there was a little bit of 12 years of self doubt.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, before you could
And and
really own it.
let's be real, it still happens, right? There's
Sure.
every time I go to create a new offer, if I have a slower couple of weeks, like it creeps in and you're just like, what's
Yeah.
going on? What am I doing? You battle doubt on a regular basis. I think ultimately it just comes down to, do you have a mindset strong enough to flip it? Can you find the truths in the shadows of these self doubts and then figure out how you can prove? I honestly, it's a game I have to play. Can I prove myself wrong so that I can keep moving forward?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's where, whether you want to call it self doubt, you want to call it imposter syndrome, whether or not you want to call it whatever, I find myself on those days doing everything except for what I know I need to be doing. And then I'm like, okay, enough. Pull your big girl pants back on, get back out there and just do your thing.
I know with the internship program at Projection, I mean, it probably took almost a year before I felt like it was sort of this legitimized program, right? Because I mean, what do you do? Get a degree in creating internships? Do, like, is there a boot camp that you go to? And then now you can say, like, oh, I have this accredited program. It was really the tipping, and I'm wondering what the tipping point was for you. Sounds like those conversations, played into that a little bit. But for the internship program, it's when I saw the participants that have graduated from the program become successful in their careers when they left, in their roles when they left, and they finally landed a role in whatever industry or position or company that they wanted to be in. And then they settled in, and then they had some free time. And then they came back and said, hey, can we hop on a coffee chat? I just want to share with you where I'm at now. I'm like, wow, like, you survived. Okay, cool. Like, this, it works. Wow. Like, this whole thing works. That's fantastic. And then it just motivated me to basically just double down into the program and go, okay, so it does work. How can we make this better? How can we, we have all these other participants in the program. They're about to leave. What can we do? So now we have this whole alumni group that basically gives us feedback. Then we have the growth advisory program, which are program graduates that they coach and advise team members in the program, and they're constantly helping us sort of brainstorm ways to make program improvements. So that's one of the endeavors that, there was a tipping point for me that I remember, where I thought, okay, this is real, and I feel really, really confident now that we have created a successful program. So how would you define that tipping point for you that made you feel like you were successful, or that you felt like your business was successful, like, or have you had that experience?
Yeah. So I think for me, I had to sit down and actually define what success was. And then I had to have a reality check at some point, because I realized I'm a very competitive person in my own nature. And I kept feeling like I wasn't successful, but I kept raising the bar. And it was just a wake up call at some point. And so my recommendation is sit down and figure out what that looks like. What does success look like? And what does that mean? So before you even start an internship program, can you say you started it? Do you have interns? Honestly, celebrate that win. That's a success. And then when you get to like that next point, celebrate the small wins and allow yourself that recognition in yourself, because that's what, for me, I had kept saying I wasn't professional and I kept holding on to this. I didn't have a degree. And then how many years in? Again, it was 12 years of being paid by people and all of these pieces. So now, and even
And
then,
producing good work.
I mean, they kept calling, I wasn't doing any marketing. It was all word of mouth.
That's crazy.
So for me, I'm like, that's a definition of success. If you have someone who uses you and then they refer you somebody else to work with you, I mean, is there any better way of saying like you're good at what you do, because
Yeah.
they are trusting you to refer you to a friend, and that's huge. So I think that's a definition, and that's a moment of success. I can clearly remember a turning point, and I had dreamed about it for years and years and years, about leaving corporate, going out on my own
Mm.
and doing this. And I had done it. I think I was about 2 years into having left corporate, and I was having a conversation at a networking. It was more of like a conference thing that I went 2 days. I'm out of town and I'm sitting there listening and I'm talking about success, and I hadn't met the numbers I wanted. In my
Mhm.
mind, I wanted to get to a certain revenue mark. and then I would be successful. I had a moment where it hit me and I was like, oh my gosh, I am working for myself full time. I left corporate. I'm doing these things. Like if I would have gone back and spoken to myself 5 years ago, I dreamed about the day that I could get here.
Yeah.
And now I'm here and I'm sitting here fussing about how I haven't gotten there yet. And so that was some of the things. And so I get caught up in it. My biggest advice, honestly, and the only way that I've been able to overcome this now is I have a business bestie and we call each other out.
Yeah.
We Voxer, we schedule intentional times like accountability calls. We
Hmm.
try to do it every couple of weeks. And so
Hmm.
I will say some weeks slide by because we also know business first. So if a client needs it, great, but we check in and
Hmm.
it's listening to her and she'll say like, I'm not making it. I can't believe it. I'm not going to make my goals. And we still laugh about this one. I was like, it's the 10th of the month. You still got about 20 something days to hit your revenue goals. Like
Yeah.
we're okay. But then even having that reminder that like, hey, 4 years ago, we weren't even at $5,000 months. Right.
Yeah.
And now we're fussing about how we want to get to like our next major mark, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So it's just taking the time to sit down. I say, write down what your goals are
Hmm.
and then celebrate when you make them.
Mm,
Because
definitely.
a lot of times, entrepreneurship, in order to have this, we all tend to be similar people
Hmm.
in the sense that we're ambitious. We want something different, better, constantly striving for something new or more.
Hmm.
And then we forget to celebrate the small wins.
Hmm. Yeah, so the double-edged sword, right, is like your superpower. Your superpower is also like your super weakness.
Yeah.
It's like the superpower is like go, 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 and then that's what leads to burnout. So your weakness is actually you may lack the ability to like stop, pause, assess, appreciate, breathe, eat your cake, take a bite of your cake. That's great job. You made a cake. Congratulations. You should
Right.
take a bite of it. Enjoy it,
Yeah.
And then yeah, and those points of reflection are really important as well because it allows you to not just appreciate but get like self-assess on, okay, so I did achieve my goal. Now where am I at and what can I improve on, or is this even what I want now that I have it? I remember I at one point I had 9 motorcycles and it was really cool. It got out of hand. It was during COVID, and at the end of it, I was in Europe for a year. When I came back, I walked in my garage and I was like, why do I have 9 motorcycles? Like this, it was fun while it lasted, but this is not something that I actually want. And so those points of reflection and pausing, I think, are important to assess these things. And talking to the team, there are solutions that are floated, and even I float some potential solutions as well. And one thing that's really beneficial is looking at the implementation of that thing and saying, okay, we can choose to adopt this application, but then who's going to manage it? Or okay, you guys want to collect this data, like where are we going to store all the data? How are we going to access it? Like that, yeah, sure, we could record everything we do, or we could get, all these note transcription tools and whatnot. But then, like, what are we going to do with all this stuff? So, really looking at, you can create the life that you want. You can get car, mansion, 9 garbage project motorcycles, but then do you actually want to manage these projects? Do you want to manage this lifestyle, or team, or tools, or tech, or clients, whatever it might be, because it's definitely achievable. So how did you manage the transition from corporate to entrepreneur? And in corporate, there's a lot of structure. For the most part, there's a lot of structure.
Mhm.
And as an entrepreneur, the map is blank. Essentially, your calendar is blank. It's completely empty, and it's up to you to put what you want in there. How did you manage that transition, and how have you established your structure?
Failing forward,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, just kind of dove in and did what I thought I needed to do. I mentioned spending endless hours on a website, developing a logo, doing all those pieces, looking back. And what I tell my clients now, I'm like, just get started. If you're new to business, you don't need a 6-page website. You need a landing page.
Yep.
And then that's it. Jump in. Make your logo your name and let the rest of it go. Just like jump in. And then values, I think honestly, you just have to come back to like, why did you start this in the first place and set your boundaries? Because you can get so caught up in wanting to make it work
Mm-hmm.
that you literally are working 24/7. And then for me, I found myself and still do. There's still cycles where I find myself and I have to pause and be like, oh my God, what did I do to myself? And reevaluating. So it's making that decision based on if I say yes to this, does it allow me to do what I set out to do? And so for me, boundaries has been a huge thing. It is a constant attempt to keep my boundaries. Let me put it that way, because I consistently overfill and overwork my boundaries. And then I have to step back and pull them in. But that shift, jumping in, both feet, not having a toe up as an option, I think that's probably what was the most motivating, because when I had that corporate job, it was easy to put the camera down. It was easy to just stick with the paycheck. And then once I finally made that decision, I was like, well, there is no other option. I have to make this work. And then trying and failing and getting up and trying again.
Yeah.
I like to say that I fail forward a lot. I still fail forward on a regular basis. It just comes down to sitting down, looking at what's working, what's not, and then the boundaries, and then revisiting. Like I literally just a month ago had overrun myself with all of the different things. And I just had to sit down and decide what were the shoulds that I needed to let go. Like just because someone said I should do this and I should do that, I had to decide if it was the right should for me for this phase of my life. And I back out of some things. I was like, you know what? For this phase, because of the fact that I want to be present for my children and I really want to focus on scaling my business, if it's something that sounds fun, like passion project, would love to be involved. I'm a very big community person. I almost jumped into helping launch something here, and then I was like, "Wait, that sounds amazing,"
Yeah.
and I really does, like, lit up about it, and then I realized it would be a distraction. One more thing to pull away from my business and from my family, and I was like, "All right, that does not align for this phase of my life. Now I'm pivoting."
And that's one of the skill sets, right? When you're going from corporate to entrepreneurship, when you're going from the 9 to 5 to 24/7 regarding availability. One skill set that isn't really present in the corporate environment is the ability to say no. Typically at a 9 to 5, it's just yes, yes, yes. Okay, I will make it work. We'll figure it out. I'll do my best, etc. As an entrepreneur, there's no way that you can do everything. There absolutely is not a way that you can do everything, that you can go to all these events and connect with all these people and go to workshops. And the amount of CEO roundtables that I get invited to is obscene. And I just constantly, I really appreciate it. I just don't have, I'm not making space for this right now. I'll keep you in mind in the future. Thank you so much. And that's one thing that I had to build. And I've attended a few. And the more I attend, the more I'm like, this is not valuable for me at all whatsoever. And so really discerning and learning how to assess opportunities and connections and what people are presenting to you. Someone just messaged me on LinkedIn recently, and my response was, I've been pitched a lot of garbage. This is actually valuable. Thank you so much for reaching out. But it's true. You kind of have to develop like this ability to filter through people and conversations and events and opportunities and seminars and networking and all sorts of stuff to really distill down what is the thing that is going to balance opportunity and benefit, and are these the right people that I want to be around, and is this the right relationship that I want to nurture? Because you don't want to just shut everything out and then not be exposed to opportunity, but you also don't want to say yes to everything. And so with that, how did you go about finding your passion? I mean, because one thing we talked about is avoiding burnout, right? And one thing that's really unique about what I do is I'm obsessed with everything that we're doing at Projection, which I'm really, 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 grateful for having created an environment for myself that I have yet to be burned out in a year and a half. I feel incredible. I love the conversations that we're having. I love experiences like this. I love the team members that I'm working with. I love our clients. I love our products. I love our innovation and everything that we're up to. And, it's taken me 2 decades almost to really discover and find that niche and then build that niche for myself. How did you go about finding something that you are really passionate about and that fulfills you? What did that look like?
I think saying yes to the opportunities and then just being okay with saying no to the other ones. I mean, I think I told you I started out in weddings, moved into families. When I first decided to go out full time, I was convinced that it was newborns and families that I wanted to do. I was all in. Like, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And about a year and a half in, I found myself dreading the newborn sessions and hated it. Like, not that I didn't love snuggling with the babies, but it's just a very physically tolling, demanding, the way that I was going about it. There are women out there that look like they've got this nailed down, but for me personally, hated it. And then it literally was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, I'm choosing to put myself into a position that I hated. So then allowing myself the permission to pivot away from it. and just starting to shift. So like I started by saying, I'm just going to do lifestyle because the piece of that that was so taxing and tolling was trying to position the baby on a mat or whatever. That's more technical and details.
Mhm.
I started eliminating that part of the photography. And then with the branding, the headshots, I told you, it just kind of like started popping in. And I was like, no, 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 I don't. I had this thing in my head that I had to have a studio. And I was like, I can't do headshot photography. I don't have a studio.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I realized, wait, if I start paying attention, we've really gotten away from studio backdrop
Yep.
photography.
I tell all
Like,
my guys on LinkedIn, like, do it outside, have green in the background. Yeah.
yes,
Yep.
it's
Natural lighting.
lifestyle. And now some of the edgy stuff, like I'm bringing backdrops back and all that stuff for like a piece of it. But I was like, oh my gosh, if I actually start looking, I'm the one sitting in my own way. I made up my own roadblock with having to have a studio. That was no one else telling me. No one was asking me. I
Do it
think
in the studio.
I think I've had a handful of financial advisors
Mhm.
that
Sure.
like there's
Yeah.
certain industries that are like we have to have a certain color backdrop.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'm just not your person,
Yep.
right? But
Yep.
like the rest of them weren't asking me for a headshot with a backdrop. They were just asking for headshots. Then what I realized is as I started diving into that, I'm like, oh, this opened up this door and I started exploring branding. And so I
Mhm.
reached out to a group that I was in. I'm like, hey, I'm contemplating kind of going down this route. I'm looking for some people who'd be open to doing like a portfolio building session for me. I need five women who'd be
Yep.
open to letting me try this out.
That's so
I had
great.
10 in less than an hour,
Yeah.
like jump in at this deal that I offered.
Yeah.
And then I just started playing with it. And as I played with it, I realized this lights me up.
Mhm.
Like when I have a brand session day, I'm not like, oh, I got a brand session. I'm like, hell yeah, I get to go do brand photos today. But
Yeah.
it's because I'm also interacting with the clients, the experience that I'm able to provide, we are feeding off of the energy. And then now on the backside of it, listening to my clients say, working with you, I had one client literally, she's like, you reignited a spark. Like, I lost
Mhm.
it. I didn't want to do this. She's like, just this session. I was like, woman, you haven't even seen the photos yet. She's like, I know, but the session alone. And
Yeah.
that's where I started to realize, honestly, for me, it's the whole experience. So the way that I walk my clients through it, the planning that I do, yes, the photos themselves are a piece of it, but I'm
Mhm.
realizing it is such a small, minute piece
Mhm.
that but because it does light me up, that part now, when I do have my bad days and I feel like I'm going to burn it all down, I legit will get a client text me or I look at something and it's like, I was going to burn it down probably 2 weeks ago. I was done, tired, like that. I did it to myself, overworked, overrun. I kept saying yes to all the things. And I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm walking away. I'm burning it down. And I literally get a text message from a client that said, you were the catalyst to me being able to do all of this. She's like, without you, I would not have done any of it. And I was like, and we're not burning it
Yeah.
down again. Because
Totally.
this is my why. Like
Yeah.
this is my purpose and the impact. And yes, it's impacting my family.
Mhm.
And then instead of burning it down, I sat back down and said, okay, you don't have to burn it down. You just have to put your boundaries back in.
Scale back and manage expectations. And we just had one of our team members land a incredible role at an incredible company, and they posted on LinkedIn that they have been job searching for something like 457 days. And while this team member has been in the program, we've done a couple of one-on-ones and just ensuring that we as a company and with the Momentum internship program as leaders of this internship program, that we're really providing the opportunities that they need to thrive, that we're giving them the tools and the training and the coaching, the motivation. And sitting in a few meetings with this team member, and they're like, it's like, I'm not hearing back. I'm like, keep it up, man, just keep it up. And like right at the very, 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 very end, like, getting word that they landed a role. Not only have they been interviewing, but they got round two and then round three, and then
It's
now
amazing.
they're in the job offer phase. I'm like, oh my god, this has been 6 months of even at projection, like 6 months of them being in the internship program, going through our program, discovering their purpose and their skills and building a team and watching this person grow and develop has been incredibly rewarding. So I can imagine what that's like with what you do. And what I share with our HR and recruiting team is what we're doing is so pivotal. We have created a program that helps people launch their entire career. And I've talked to some of our recruiters and have said, name the people that you've recruited into the program. and it's like this person, this person, this person. Where are some of those people at now? Yeah, and they're big brands, big companies, great positions. It's just incredible to see like where they go in life and the amount of fulfillment, which I think is kind of what this aspect of the conversation is getting towards. The amount of fulfillment that you can derive from pursuing your passion, and as you pursue your passion, you're going to do good work, or you're going to just be relentless in figuring out how to perfect that craft. And the byproduct of that is going to be success. And it's not just individual success, but, ideally success for your client or your customer, whoever's consuming your product or your service. And I think that is that level of fulfillment, is seeing somebody buy your product, purchase your service, get that experience, and then what they do with it afterwards is just incredibly rewarding. So that's awesome, Joe. And you're right, it is so important. Case in point, I'm even thinking back now. Shout out to Nidhi and Jordan, my photographers from my last headshot session. I mean, I've told them when I see them, like, hey guys, I want you to know that the headshot session that we did is like such a big deal. I use it on everything. You guys really have like kicked off the Phelan Focus and helped, shift my LinkedIn campaigns and marketing and just social media and everything else. And it builds so much confidence when you do have those headshots. When, like when we were building the Phelan Focus brand, went through a couple of different iterations of it. And then when you start nailing the brand down and you get the colors and the font, the vibe, and you're like tweaking it and editing it. And like you said, like, don't get it tattooed. Like, don't get married. What I say is like, don't get married to it. Just play with it and kind of go through that discovery phase. But then when you do land on something that is working, you get this like newfound confidence. What does that confidence look like for you, or what kind of confidence shifts do you see in your clients by helping them with their branding?
I guess for me, it's just allowing myself to be consistent. I mean, even for me, I look back to that one mentor that challenged me to show up, and I was like, one, no, and then fine, challenge accepted. And I was like, I don't have anything that I'm willing to put up to even show myself. I was like, I have a
Mm.
selfie with my kid. Like, that's not going to work, right? That's not professional. So I actually went out and got my own mini brand session done. And then I had a library of images to send. And I was like, okay, now I can show up because I'm confident in it looks like me. And I
Mhm.
joke, I'm like, listen, I didn't go get glamour shots done. Like I went, it's me. So when I go to use the image, I'm like, yes, like that's me. I can start to
Right.
show up. And it's like you said, you just have that confidence now where, and I think this is, you've encountered this, I'm sure.
Mhm.
You're at a networking event, someone hands you a business card and there's a but. Here's my business card, but the website's outdated,
Yeah.
or, oh, that
My
photo
number's
is,
changed.
yeah, the photo is, 20 years old or
Mm.
whatever
The
the case
QR
may
code
be.
doesn't work anymore.
Just anything with the but. Like if you have to hand somebody something and you're already trying to make an excuse for
Mm.
it,
Mhm.
you've just shot the whole deal because one, you're inadvertently, what you don't realize you're doing either is making them distrust you because you don't even trust
Mm.
yourself because you don't have enough confidence in what you're handing somebody. And so that's that side effect. I've seen it in myself. And then with my clients, you walk into rooms different. And even you were talking about it. It's like the ability that I was able to take these headshots and then the rest of my branding and really just hone in to who we were and what we wanted to do. We started posting on LinkedIn. We started letting the world know that we existed because you had something you were confident to get out there and start using that. And then that spills over into it's the side effect of when you walk into a room. Now you get to walk into the room not as just Mark, but as the CEO of this business that you are
Mhm.
confidently sharing with the world that it exists. So you can stand taller, prouder. They literally tell me like the confidence shift and the amount of people that honestly just the experience itself does like that, like, wait, I am the one in front of the camera. We inadvertently, it's some celebrity status thing that we've always watched. Like, you think about it, it's always the celebrities, it's always the high end to dos people that are in front of the camera. So, the amount of people that have walked out of a photo session, not even seeing a final picture, standing taller, telling me that the experience itself was amazing and that was a game changer for them in their business. And like the confidence that spills out. And so there's already so much. We talked about the self doubt, the imposter syndrome, the challenges that you're going to have. You're going to make a million decisions every day. I saw this meme the other day that said it's like the 12-year-old version of me wanted no one to tell me what to do. And now this version of myself is like, can somebody just please tell me what to do?
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Like,
What do I do
I
next?
need a step-by-step checklist. Like
Yeah,
literally just tell me exactly what I need to
yeah,
do. I will do it. We have so many decisions that we have to make on a regular basis.
yeah.
But when we have the branding to back what we're doing,
Hmm.
that's an easy one. Like for me with you were like, hey, send me some material assets. I was like, oh, I just have to pick which ones I want to send,
Yeah.
not, oh God, I have something I want to send you. That makes you not want to get onto podcasts. It makes you not want to
Oh,
send emails, makes
interesting.
you
Okay.
not
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to show up on LinkedIn
Yeah.
because you're not confident about
Hmm.
it.
Hmm. That's such a good point. And yeah, it's almost like, when you get a new haircut and you walk out, you're like, I feel good. I feel like
Feel like a
I
million bucks today.
yeah, yeah, seriously. Like I feel like I took care of myself, and yeah, even just doing the headshots, you feel great. I mean, legitimately, you're getting dressed up, you're going to a studio, you're going to like a really nice sort of venue or area, and yeah, you do kind of get that like celebrity status vibe. And it's not that there are people may not be around you, or that there's a camera in your face, but it's just that you are taking the time to do the thing that's going to make some sort of incremental improvement. Whether it's like getting a gym membership, hiring a personal trainer, hiring a photographer. It's a form of self love, and it's a form of self care, and it's so important. I'm glad that you said that, and that's why just do one. Just get your headshots made. Just do your branding. Just pick a logo and do it. And all of these things also, they compound. I don't know what is going on, but the last couple of weeks, as I've been going out, I've been getting more compliments on like my attire. And I don't dress like a slob, but but in general, I don't know what it is. There's this like weird shift that's happening, like you're saying, on how I'm showing up to events and how I'm showing up to people. And it wasn't even anybody, at that office or meeting or whatever. It's kind of the in between passerbyers that notice that there's sort of this shift. There's an energy that's happening. There's a certain level of confidence. I think also like I may be coming off more approachable as well. And it's been incredibly important, especially as I do more networking events. And I'm, because once you have your branding and you have your headshots and you do your LinkedIn and you have your landing page, like you got to get the word out. So
Right.
get ready, go to networking events. And so going back to what you were saying also previously around being able to pivot into a lifestyle that is best suited for you. When we kicked off projection for the first year, I was doing a lot of traveling, and I got really burned out on. I was like, okay, no more traveling. My goal is now the opposite. I'm going to see how productive I can be without traveling at all. And
Okay.
I doubled down in Las Vegas and just stayed local, and just then I started going to local events and local networking events. And that's where I started looking at the different opportunities that are in Vegas. And there's a ton. There's some riff draft. There's some great events. There's some that are like, not really high value, or it's, yeah. So what's been your experience with networking, right? Because that's kind of the next big step, is once you do have this new sense of confidence, you got to take the show on the road. What's your approach to networking, or what are your recommendations?
So be intentional
Mm,
because you can 1000% network yourself to death. There are, and especially when you live in big cities, you're in Vegas, I'm outside of Orlando.
hmm.
Any given day, there's probably 50 networking events that I could go to,
Yeah.
7 days a week, it feels like. So for me, my number one recommendation is be intentional.
Hmm.
And honestly, figure out what phase of business are you in? So, are you in a scaling phase? What does that look like? For me, if my sales have slowed down or the pipeline has slowed down because I got super busy
Hmm.
delivering, then one of my things is, well, then step it up. You got to get out and start getting the word out again.
Hmm.
Yes, social is great. You have to have a presence, right? It is a thing. You have to have it, but it's not, unless you're running paid ads, it's going to be a long-term game. So
Hmm.
networking has been a huge piece of my business. I have been told that one of my superpowers is being in the right room. And
Yeah.
so it's because I'm intentional about the rooms that I walk into.
Yeah.
So I don't go to a networking event just to go to a networking event.
Yeah.
I am intentional about walking into networking events that are going to be full of the people that I need to either one of two things. My number one goal is a strategic partnership.
Mm.
Instead of walking into a networking event trying to find a client,
Hmm.
I walk into networking events with trying to find strategic partners that
Totally.
can then become a referral source. If they work with me, fantastic. But I look at it as I could go and get the one client, or if I could go find the person that will refer me clients, that is more ideal. But
Hmm.
usually to find those people, you're also in a room with ideal clients as well,
Hmm.
because those people, I'm strategic about finding people that work with my ideal clients. In order for them to be able to refer people, they have to be working with them too. And then for me, the biggest thing with networking was I can't even tell you how many networking events I went to and talked to maybe one person because
Really?
oh my gosh, I am an introverted extrovert.
Okay.
Listen, you can get me going once I know you, and that is fine. But walking into a room full of people,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to be here. I just
Yeah.
want to go home. And so I would go. I'm like, check, I went. Did you talk to anybody? You can't just go to the networking event. You have
Yeah.
to go and be intentional and talk to
Yeah.
people. So for
It's
me,
like
in the
going to the gym and just sitting down and then I'm like, well, I can't, and then going home.
it's my dad has a shirt that says I drive to the gym every day, or I drive like by the gym every. He's like, yeah, but I don't go in.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
just because I go by it doesn't mean you have to go in.
Yeah.
So the networking events, be intentional, learn about what they are. And if you don't know because you're new to the game, it may require you going to one and
Or a
then
few
checking it out,
or
getting the
five.
vibe. And then what is it? Kiss a frog. You got to kiss a bunch of frogs and then you figure out which one's the right one. Like it's cool. And then I also, to get myself out of my own way, because I was so overwhelmed by walking into big spaces,
Mm.
I would walk in and be intentional about, okay, this networking event, I'm going to try to speak to 3 different people.
Yep.
Make it a realistic
Yep.
goal. Like going in and trying to speak to 30, I was like, I might as well just stay in the car. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
no.
exhausting.
But when I started to walk in saying 3,
Hmm.
go in and speak to 3 different people, then that was my first step. And then now I can walk into a room and I'm more comfortable. I'm better at it. So then I try to be more intentional. But I just actually went to a networking event, a conference last Friday with a woman who doesn't network. And I had to push and realize I was like, oh man, I've gotten good at this. She hasn't. So she came in essence, was kind of just following me around.
Hmm.
And I was like, if you latch on, and then she found someone she knew and she went and stayed just
Yeah.
talking to the one person that she knew.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's the mistake that you're making. If you already know them,
Yeah.
it's great to check in.
Yep.
FaceTime is amazing. So, like, hey, ask us a question other than how are you? Like,
Yeah.
my favorite is how can I support you right now?
Totally.
Because then I'm not trying to get a client from you. I'm not trying to get a win. I really do want to know how can I support you right now?
Hmm.
And then being intentional about at the next break, speaking to somebody different and then speaking to someone else different. You just have to go in and be intentional.
There was an approach that I saw in a networking video. We are, so at Projection, we're launching our first networking event this Saturday. It's called the Momentum Office Party. We talked to WeWork. They might pick it up as a series. We'll see what happens. It's super
You got to let me
exciting.
know when you come to Orlando because
Definitely, definitely. That
Vegas is a little far for me right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
that'll definitely be awesome. And so I started doing a ton of research on networking events, and there's a lot of really cool videos out there on YouTube. And one approach, no, actually, it was in person. This wasn't a YouTube video. This was a tip from somebody in person. I went to a networking event, and then a group of us went out for basically dinner afterwards. And he sort of latched onto our group, and we didn't even know this guy. And he was just so friendly, and he had such a good vibe. During the dinner, he was saying that his approach to networking events is he'll go find somebody that is maybe alone, and he'll introduce himself, and then he'll say, "Let's go pick someone to then introduce ourselves to." And he tries to create groups of 3,
Okay.
and it's like brilliant. So then it's you're like partnering with somebody at the event to then go support somebody else and go meet somebody else. That's a cool approach that I want to try this Saturday, especially because we're going to be hosting it. And a part of being the host is like connecting people. And then yeah, I mean, if you're just going there to talk to the same people, you're basically just socializing, which is that's fine. You can socialize if you want to. And then I love what you're saying, like creating intention. And that's one thing when we have team members or interns that come out to Vegas and they just, the layovers or whatever it might be, I try to take them to events. And that's one of the biggest things is, okay, I'm going to show you how to do this. What do you want to walk away from this event with? Do you want to walk away with a job offer, a friend, a mentor? What sort of intention are you creating for this event? What does that look like? Because that's that energy that you bring in. And that's why I love what you brought up earlier in that you're going into the event looking for a strategic partner, somebody to do referrals and somebody that you could support, so someone where they have a business or a skill set where there's some sort of mutual gain there. I absolutely love that because that puts you in a healthy mindset where that you're going to provide value. And so now you're just discovering and meeting people, trying to figure out, is this the person that I'm going to partner with that can I provide value to this person? You just show up totally different. And then yeah, it might turn into a client conversation or yeah, mentor, friend, whatever that might be. How many events is too many? Was it one a week, one a month? I mean, getting into launching your business, right? In corporate, there's holiday parties. And so even if you might not network with everyone in the company, there's probably like a quarterly holiday party. So it's not like you're going to get burned out meeting people in corporate. But as an entrepreneur, again, there's sort of this open realm of potentially binging on something where then you get burned out on it. And networking could be one of those things. So I love networking with intention. What is too much networking too?
I think honestly, it comes down to those boundaries and setting time blocks.
Mm,
So one of the things that I have said yes to too much stuff, and then I go back and I'm like, okay, so if I am one person, and
mm,
what phase of business are you in? Because for me, I don't have a big team. I don't roll deep. So I am still delivering. I am still doing. I am still a lot of the pieces. So I have to look at my calendar and say, if you only want to work these hours of the week, and then you fill them with all networking, well, when are you going to do the other things that have to get done? And so for me, it comes down to I'm part of a networking group right now that meets once a week. So that already is a very big time chunk of commitment. But then when I go look at doing the other stuff, I have to see like, what else do I have going on that week? If I have a lot of photo sessions, I have to carve in time for editing. So one of my attempts, because this is still a constant work in progress of not overwhelming myself, is if I book a photo session, I also block in editing time. And then I
yeah.
go through that process. And then I call them CEO blocks. So every week I have a CEO block on my schedule where I'm like, no, this is reserved for me to just like to focus on whatever I need to do in my business right now. Is it the email that has to go out this week? Is it the podcast editing episodes? Like, what am
Yep.
I doing?
Yep.
And so I'm intentional with blocking time.
Hmm.
And then I've even gotten to the point now where I've blocked in time for this is when I'm going to do sales calls or be available for sales calls. And then I can then evaluate, do I have time for the networking meeting?
Yep.
Like, do I have time? And if it looks a little tight, but it feels like it's going to be a room of the right full of people, then I have to decide what am I going to shift instead.
Mm,
But it comes down to the phase of business because if you have no business, more networking is probably going to be better for you because you've got the time, the open availability.
yeah.
If you are in this happy medium where like you've got a good flow of clients, but you could still handle more clients, then I would probably recommend networking at minimum once a week.
Hmm.
Now, if it's the same networking group or if you decide to check out a few different ones, that's great, but with intention. And then I don't know. There's a lady right now. She's got her business is at the point now that she is responsible for sales. So she runs her week with networking because that is what she is responsible for. But she has the
Mm,
team that once they do the sale,
yeah.
they step in and do delivery. She's basically an account manager, maybe, but her team handles it. So
Yeah.
in her case, she would probably tell you, I go to 2 or 3 networking events a day because I can. And that's where our business comes in. But she's also only responsible for creating business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it depends. That's an open-ended question as far as how much is the right amount.
Hmm.
And then what are you doing with it after? Because I can't
Totally.
tell you how many times I've walked in with intention, gotten a business card, and it sat in my purse. Well, that kind of was a waste. It didn't do anything for me other than a nice connection.
Hmm.
So what can I realistically handle? And then putting a system in place, I think would be my other key. Because if you've got a system in place, you can probably manage 1 or 2 more networking events if you're able to do it correctly and follow up is the key.
Hmm. Totally.
My recommendation is getting on the calendar with someone that you really want to get on before you even leave the room.
100%. That's so funny because the event that we're hosting on Saturday, there's three connection challenges that we're doing, and so when they arrive, they're going to get a little scorecard, kind of like when you play mini golf or golf, like right. So everyone's going to get a little scorecard, and on the card, there's going to be meeting at least one person with a different color name badge. So there's going to be 4 or 5 different color name tags, and then the second one is a LinkedIn connection. So actually connecting and messaging somebody on LinkedIn at the event. And then the last one is actually a coffee connection. So part of the scorecard is scheduling coffee with someone for the following week and having the date, time, and location all picked out. That way their follow-up is built into it. And that's what makes our networking events a little different is that, like you said, there's much more intention, there's follow-up intended for it. And so the goal is to leave with some sort of coffee connection, booked for the next week. And going into that, the importance of having your branding nailed down, building your confidence, booking the headshots, updating your social, having content to post so that you can go to the networking events and, confidently share who you are and what you're doing, and really owning your role, and, not going 12 years without, owning that you're a professional photographer, or going to, a year, or, a little over 6 months to a year without like saying like, I am the CEO of a company and we have a successful, wildly successful internship program. Really owning your role, so that when you step into that room, there's intention behind who you are and what you're doing, what your brand is. When you hand somebody your business card, you know that your website works and that all the information is updated, and you can confidently connect and provide value to people. So, Joe, thank you for everything that you do and everything you do for your clients, and
Well, thank you.
taking the time to connect and share, all these recommendations and tips to everyone. Just like how you're saying, it'd be so nice to have a to-do list. We just gave everyone a to-do list. Do your branding, get your headshots made, go network, and don't tattoo it, and don't be married to it. And just through that cycle, the value of networking is that you actually get to practice your pitch, see how it lands, go back, review your branding, and continue to update it iteratively, which is really great. Joe, where can people find you?
Brandingbyjoe.com, or branding by Joe on all the things. No E, just branding by Joe, J-O. And, or you could listen on the Branded Impact podcast. I am loving to give more tips on branding. And I want to leave this note. I heard you talking as you're saying this. I'm like, oh my goodness, but please understand, I'm not saying it all has to be done before you can get out there. You have to get started, start somewhere. And then here is the beautiful thing about business and all of us, is that we get to evolve and elevate. So start with a headshot, get, a landing page done. And then as you grow and evolve, you can add. And then eventually you'll get into a full blown website, a full blown brand photo shoot, all those things. But yeah, sorry, I had to leave that nugget, because I feel like I hear this and people are like, oh, I can't do anything then until
Yeah.
I have all these pieces. And you don't. You can get started. Ultimately, for me, the biggest game changer is confidence. If you don't trust yourself, that's going to come across, and then you're not going to be trusted for someone to work with you. So I hope somebody took something away other than they have to have all the pieces. But branding is essential. And even like you mentioned, it's everything that you do when you walk into a room, how you present yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the website, then just schedule the coffee chat. Like,
Yeah.
don't direct them anywhere to other than, hey, just get on my calendar. Like,
Yeah.
let's do
Yeah.
this.
Joe, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Likewise. All right. Good luck to everyone. Enjoy your headshots and your new logos and your new websites and your networking events. And feel free to shout out to myself and Joe whenever you guys follow through and knock those things out. And yeah, we'll see you again.